You know, when we first started looking into Cissy Houston for this deep dive,
Mm-hmm.
it really struck me that there's so much more to her story than just being,
Right.
Whitney Houston's mom.
Absolutely.
It's like you think you know a story and then you realize there's this whole other layer, this whole other
Yeah.
narrative that you never even considered.
It's a good reminder, I think, that for every iconic voice, that we think about, there's this whole, network of talent and influence in a story that
Right.
deserves its own spotlight.
Totally. And Sissy's story is just jam-packed with those aha
Yeah.
moments. And to really get into it, we got to start in Newark, New Jersey, right? Like that connection to the community and her church was so strong.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, and it's, you might be surprised to learn just how deep those roots actually go. I mean, we're talking, her family wasn't just attending Sunday service.
Yeah.
They were woven into the fabric of gospel music.
Right. Like her siblings had this group, the Drinkard Singers. They even performed at Carnegie Hall. And get this, and she's related to Whitney Houston and Leontine Price.
Whoa. Now that's a family reunion for the ages, right?
Oh, yeah.
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 But it also, I think, highlights how influential gospel was, even outside of just the church walls,
Right.
You have Cissy finding success in soul and gospel, and then Whitney obviously becoming this global pop icon,
Mm.
and then Leontine Price breaking barriers in the opera world.
Right.
And it's all connected by that early musical foundation.
Can you imagine growing up in that environment?
Oh my God.
Surrounded by that level of musical talent.
It's easy to picture a young Cissy just surrounded by these incredible vocalists, just soaking up,
Yeah.
those rich harmonies and soulful melodies.
Totally.
That's where she honed her craft.
It wasn't just a hobby either. This was
Oh, no.
serious musical training.
Absolutely.
And you can hear that influence throughout her whole career.
Yeah.
Before she was winning her own Grammys.
Right.
She became the go-to backup singer for some of the biggest names in music.
Yeah.
I mean, think about this. Aretha Franklin's "You Make Me Feel Like a Natural Woman."
Oh, my goodness.
Cissy Houston.
Think about that for a second, though. These artists, these legends, they weren't just looking for anybody to
Right.
just blend into the background noise. They were seeking out a very specific vocal quality
Right.
to elevate their own sound.
Yeah.
And they chose her.
And it wasn't just about standing in the shadows or anything like
Right.
that. It was about adding something special.
Yeah, that little magic touch.
Yeah.
The extra sparkle.
And the list of people she sang with is incredible. Elvis Presley,
Oh, yeah.
Van Morrison, Dionne Warwick.
That's amazing.
She sang with them all.
It really speaks to her talent and versatility as a vocalist, but I think it also reveals a lot about the music industry at the time. Being a sought-after backup singer, it really was a testament to your skill, your ability to enhance another artist's vision,
And this is while she was pregnant with Whitney Houston.
Okay.
That she was recording backup vocals for the Drifters on Broadway.
Oh, my gosh.
Fact.
Talk about a sign.
Literally surrounded by music even before being born.
Yeah, 1963.
There's a certain poetry to that image.
Yeah.
This idea of musical legacy being passed down almost through osmosis.
Really?
It makes you wonder how those early experiences shaped Whitney's own journey. Yeah.
Or, while she's nurturing this future superstar,
Right.
she's building this whole other amazing solo career at the same time.
It's important to remember, beyond just being a background vocalist or a famous mother, she was a force to be reckoned with in her own right.
Oh, yeah.
On stage.
Absolutely. And what's interesting is her path to that solo success, it doesn't follow the typical
right.
Straight line.
It wasn't about early fame for Cissy. It was about honing her craft over time.
Yeah. Developing a unique style and then captivating audiences with the sheer power of her voice.
Well, and there's this great review. Yeah. I think it's from the New York Times from 1977.
Okay.
And it's talking about her performance at this club called Reno Sweeney.
Uh-huh.
And the critic said that she could sing the telephone book.
Wow.
And provide an uplifting experience.
That is high praise.
Right.
Wow. Yeah, no kidding.
We can say.
And it speaks volumes about her, her command over her instrument. You know what I mean?
Totally.
She could take any material.
Yeah.
And infuse it with such emotion.
Right.
That it left a lasting impact on the listener,
Yeah.
you know?
It's like she poured her whole life experience into every note.
Yeah.
You know, the joy of gospel, the challenges of like being a woman in the music industry, the love for her family, like it all comes through.
Yeah, and that depth of feeling, that authenticity, that's what
Yeah.
resonates with audiences. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Sometimes the greatest recognition, it comes later in a career.
Right.
After years of like, you know, honing your craft and really finding your voice.
Totally.
And that seems to be the case with Cissy.
It really makes you think about success, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
what is it really about? Is it about like early fame and the chart-topping hits?
Right.
Or is it more about staying true to your art, persevering through challenges, and ultimately connecting with audiences like on a deeper level?
Those are the questions that her story like makes us grapple with.
Yeah.
You know? Like
Yeah.
she found a way to embrace it all. You know,
Yeah.
the highs and lows, the triumphs and the setbacks. But like through it all, she remained grounded, you know, in her faith in her family and her love for music.
And that's what makes her story so compelling, right?
Absolutely.
Because it's not just about musical success. It's about resilience. It's about determination. It's about the power of like staying connected to your roots.
It really is, yeah.
And she never gave up on her dreams, even when faced with, you know, some really difficult times in her life.
Yeah.
And you know, we haven't even touched on, you know, the loss of her daughter.
Right.
But it's impossible to tell Cissy Houston's story without acknowledging, you know, the difficult times too.
It's a reminder, I think, that, you know, life is full of both joy and sorrow.
Yeah.
And that sometimes the greatest test of our character is how we navigate, you know, those difficult moments.
Yeah, it's just heartbreaking, you know?
It really is.
Because it's like you have all this incredible talent and success, and then life throws you these like unimaginable curveballs, you know?
Yeah, and while we can't pretend to understand the depth of her grief,
Right.
you know, it's clear that she faced those challenges with the same like strength and grace
Yeah.
that really defined her life. Yeah.
She never let those tragedies like overshadow her spirit or her love for music.
Absolutely.
It's like she channeled those experiences, you know, into her art, into her faith, into her like unwavering support of other people.
I think that's the mark of true resilience, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like finding that strength to like keep going, to keep creating, even when faced with like immense personal loss.
Absolutely. And you know, when you look back at her life, like as a whole,
Yeah.
it's clear that her story, it's not just about like the highs and lows of the music industry, right?
It's about so much more than that.
It's about the power of staying connected to your roots, finding solace in your faith, like using your gifts to uplift other people.
It's a really powerful story.
Yeah, no matter what the circumstances are.
Absolutely.
It really challenges us to like rethink our own definitions of success, of resilience, of what it means to like live a life that's, you know, filled with purpose.
And, you know, as we kind of like wrap up this deep dive into this incredible life, like we're left with this really powerful question.
What's the takeaway for you?
Yeah, what will you take away from her story? How will you define like your own version of success? These are questions worth pondering. And you know, we really hope that Cissy's journey will inspire you to find your own answers, you know?
Because sometimes like the most meaningful legacies are the ones that like make us think, challenge what we think we know,
Totally.
and encourage us to like embrace, you know, all of it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Fullness of our own journeys, you know?
Well said.
Yeah.
Well, on that note, we'll leave you to it.
Yeah.
To contemplate the remarkable life and legacy of Cissy Houston.
Absolutely. What a story.
Thanks for listening, everybody.